Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to decode the hidden patterns that drive our lives. The psychology that explains why we do the things we do, and why other people can be, well, so confusing.
You know those moments, right? That flash of anger that seems to come out of nowhere, or that sudden urge to just shut down completely. It can leave you thinking, whoa, where did that come from?
And then, of course, there's everyone else. We spend so much time trying to figure people out. That friend who suddenly gets distant, that coworker who just seems to have it in for you. It can feel like you're trying to solve a puzzle with half the pieces missing.
Well, here's the thing. What we actually see, people's behavior, is just the tip of the iceberg. The real story, all the stuff that's actually driving the ship, our fears, our needs, our past experiences, that's all happening deep beneath the surface. So let's dive in and see what's really going on down there. Okay, first up, we're going to look inward. Because let's be honest, before we can even begin to understand anybody else, we really got to get a handle on the crazy, powerful forces that are shaping our own reactions to the world. I mean, think about it. Has this ever happened to you? Someone tells you, hey, you need to do this, and even if you know they're right, something inside you just says, nope, not going to happen. It's not just about being stubborn, is it? Turns out, psychology has a name for that feeling. It's called psychological reactance. And here's what's so interesting. It's not some kind of character flaw. It's actually a totally natural, automatic defense mechanism, our brain's way of protecting our sense of freedom. And this is the crucial part. It's not just about defiance. For some of us, that need for autonomy, for being in control of our own choices, is so deep that being ordered around literally feels like a threat to our identity. The brain isn't trying to be a pain. It's fighting to protect a core part of who we are. Okay, let's talk about another huge trigger: comparison. For some people, seeing someone else's success is pure motivation. It's like, awesome, if they can do it, so can I. But for others, that exact same situation feels like a punch to the gut. All they hear is, you're not good enough. So, why the different reactions? A lot of the time, it comes straight from our past. If you grew up constantly being measured against siblings or classmates, comparison doesn't feel like inspiration. It just reopens old wounds. It can trigger shame, which is an emotion that just shuts us down completely.
Okay, so we're starting to understand our triggers. That's step one. But the big question is, what do we actually do about it? Well, the next step is all about learning how to protect our own peace of mind without, having to cut every single person out of our lives.
And psychology gives us a really practical toolkit for this. Notice the theme here. It's not about burning bridges. It's about managing access and managing your energy. Things like setting clear boundaries without feeling like you have to write a 5-page essay explaining why, or realizing, hey, not everything deserves a reaction from me. It's about being really intentional about where your precious energy goes. These aren't selfish acts. They are absolutely essential acts of self-preservation. All right, so we've looked in the mirror. Now let's turn that lens outward. Once we have a better handle on our own inner world, we can start to decode some of those really confusing behaviors we see in other people. This is a tough one, right? It can drive you absolutely crazy trying to figure it out. You replay every conversation, wondering what you could have possibly said or done. But what if it has nothing to do with you at all? Our default setting is almost always self-blame. We immediately think, they hate me, or what did I do wrong? But psychology invites us to consider a totally different reality, one that's actually way less personal. It's a concept called psychological projection, and basically, it means you might just be a mirror. If someone feels insecure about themselves, they might see your confidence as arrogance. If they feel inadequate, they might interpret your success as a personal slight. You see, their reaction isn't really a story about you. It's a story about them. And it's a similar story when someone suddenly just cuts people off. Our first thought is often to label them as cold or arrogant, or maybe just unstable. But the psychological reality is usually a whole lot more compassionate than that. Look, it's almost never about arrogance. More often than not, it is an act of sheer self-preservation. It could be psychological overload, their brain is just fried, or maybe they've just hit their limit after years of tolerating too much. It could even be part of an identity reset, where they have to distance themselves from an old life to make room for a new one. It's a retreat, not an attack. And finally, let's tackle a personality type that our super social world really struggles to understand: the person who seems genuinely happy and content on their own.
we're so quick to label these people as loners or sad or maybe even antisocial, right? But psychology tells a totally different story. It's not a story about loneliness. It's a story about inner strength and self-reliance. What's so fascinating is how these traits all point to one core idea. Psychologists call it having a strong internal locus of control. It's the core belief that you are the one shaping your life. These folks don't need external validation, likes, comments, whatever, to feel good about themselves. Their sense of worth comes from the inside. It's not a rejection of other people, it's a deep comfort with oneself.
So, let's bring it all together. What's the big takeaway here? How does looking at the world and at ourselves through this psychological lens actually change things for us? This quote just nails it, doesn't it? Understanding the why behind someone's behavior is the key. It's what allows us to move from judgment to empathy, from confusion to clarity. And at the end of the day, it's what leads to a much greater sense of peace. And honestly, this might be the single most powerful gift psychology can give you. The moment you truly realize that most of the difficult behavior you encounter is just a reflection of someone else's internal world, their own fears, their own history, it lifts this huge emotional weight off your shoulders. You realize it wasn't about you after all. So I'll leave you with that question to think about. After everything we've talked about, whose behavior will you see differently now? Maybe it's a coworker, a family member, or maybe, just maybe, it's your own. Thanks for joining me on The Explainer.